The area to the right is one of the very first scenic areas I ever did with the layout, and it was certainly my first encounter with static grassing. And at the time I used 2 and 4mm static grass, and I wasn't really comfortable with putting too much down, and as a result over the years I've looked at it with increasing frustration that I didn't put more of the static grass down and make it more overgrown. As you can see from the front here, there's a lot of low-lying bushes, some shrubs, you've got this backman hut, and then it grows to some trees. These are actually trees from the Woodland Scenic's fine leaf foliage. Back when I started, I felt that you got more decent specimens of trees straight out of the box from the Woodland Scenic's fine leaf foliage. Now they seem to be quite weird shapes pressed in, and needing a bit of work done before you can plonk them on the layout. But these trees here were just literally taken out the pack and drilled into the baseboard and glued. So I'm going to try and keep them. Obviously I'm going to remove them first and relocate them in this scene. I've got, as I say, very patchy, almost flat static grass there. So I'm going to try and build up more of an overgrown area, probably less bushes and more variety. And I've got my own shed that I scratch built in autumn last year that's going to be weathered and placed in there as well. I'm going to backdate some of the signage. This kind of signage here was probably from the 90s onwards. I'm going to maybe put something a bit more 80s in there. The static grasses I tend to use in the layout are from the Mini Nature range, and these come in a 2, 4.5 and 6.5mm length. I tend to stick to 3 main shades. We've got early fall, we've got late fall, and we've got a beige. What I tend to do is I will mix the shades so you don't get something that's, you know, really samey, and then I'll go over it with maybe a 6.5, and then I might use some layering spray to go over it again with maybe say a 4.5, just to give that varied height to look like land that's not been kept. Alright, so I'll show you that on the scene now. You'll have seen me hoovering there. What I tend to do when I put the static grass down, as I've done in my previous videos, is I go over it maybe 5-10 minutes after I've applied the static grass with a vacuum with an old pair of tights on the end, and what I do is I suck up the excess that's just lying there that's not attached to the glue, and then it catches in the end of the tights, and I can then reuse that static grass. Because if you just vacuum up, it's going to go into the vacuum cleaner and you can't use it again. It's, you know, contaminated with dust and stuff. So put a small sports sock, you know, one of these really fine sports socks, or ideally a pair of tights over the end. Okay, don't tell your wife. What I've done here since the last clip is I applied some more static grass on top of the first layer, and this is called layering. And what I used was a layering spray and just scooshed it in the areas I wanted and went over it with a 4.5mm mix of beige and late fall to give it a lighter tinge on the top, like the long grass you get, okay? I also added a little bit more coarse turf in there just to blend it into the cess of the track, if you like. So I'm fairly happy with that. It's actually got a bit of height to it now, and it's taller here, and obviously my bushes and undergrowth will be impinging on it there. That's why I obviously didn't bother putting static grass there. You might be able to catch, you can actually, yep, this is where the hut's going to go, and obviously I'll tie the scenic material in around that structure. So there's the completed scene. I've added coarse turf as a foundation, I've added the static grass and then I've layered it, as I've said. I then added some woodland scenics fine leaf foliage. I've made my own seafoam trees, and then what I've done is I've added some of these bushes as well. All ties it together. I've added my hut that I scratch built last autumn, and it's a fresher scene. It's got more depth to it than the previous scene. The static grass is certainly a massive improvement now that obviously I'm using longer fibres, plus my skills have improved over the last 7 years. So that is really quite impressive. I'm quite pleased with that. Hopefully from this view you'll get a better look at the seafoam trees and how I've integrated it with the different lengths and tones of the static grass. And the final view, as you can see, I've got the palisade fencing put in to prevent trespassing. I've got the end of the hut there with the overgrown bushes starting to encroach on it a little bit. And again, just freshened it up from what was there before and given it a bit more depth. If you enjoyed the video, please get in touch and add some comments below. And if you've not already done so, click on the subscribe button and the notification bell, and that will give you a heads up as to all the new videos that I upload in the coming months. If any questions regarding anything I've done in this little scene rebuild, get in touch and I'll try and help you out. Thanks for watching. Cheers just now.